So I shall do a lesson for Chasing Cars here by Snow Patrol. Now this is for people that have never played guitar, people that have played a little bit that want some tips, and then for those of you that just want a new song for your repertoire. So I'll get straight to how to play the song here, okay? So I want you to take your middle finger, and what you're going to do is find the second fret, so that's the second box across here in the guitar, that's fret 1, 2, 3 and so on, and go to the third string, second fret. So first string, second string, third string. Okay, so this is not your first string, the skinny one is. Keep your finger there. Now what I'll do is give you some advice about your posture and how to place your finger. Okay, now do you notice I'm not putting my finger just anywhere in the fret, it's right at the edge of the fret. So fret 2 consists of everything in this little box section. So I'm not placing it there, it's towards the edge over there. Now there's two main reasons for this. One, it'll hurt less. It's slightly less pressure on your fingertip there, so it should nip a bit less. And two, it's the sweet spot, if you will, of the fret, so you'll get the nicest, clearest sound right there. If you push your finger back there, and if you've never played before, or your fingers aren't too tough yet, you might get a bit of dullness and buzziness like that, compared to nice clear sound there with not too much effort on my part to push the note down. What else I want you to look at is my thumb's not poking up over here, grabbing the guitar like a baseball bat. If you already play guitar and you've done that, I want you to just take note of what I'm going to say. If you're playing from scratch here, then definitely try and do what I'm going to say, okay? The thumb position determines how easy it is to wrap these fingers around and play whatever you need to play. If the thumb's poking up here or like this, especially if you have smaller hands like I do, it's much harder to reach around and get mobility with those fingers. So what you've got to do is get yourself in a good posture where you're comfortable like this, and then whatever you're playing on the fretboard, the thumb should be accompanying it and complementing it so that it's not too hard for you. So put the thumb basically in the middle of the shape you're making, so it's basically behind this finger here where you can't see it, and down towards, I say, the middle of the back. Not poking up, not all the way down, let's say a middle to a third, somewhere back there. It gives you a nice curved knuckle, which you want, because we're only wanting to play this note here. We don't want to touch these strings, so we don't want to fall over like this. So get it nice and proud and upright. Just experiment with where you can place it without hurting yourself, okay? And a note as well, do not push in with the thumb. The strength is going to come from your fingertips. If you persevere with guitar, these tips are going to get tougher and they'll build what's called callus. So when you bite your finger like that, there's not going to be much feeling in there. So what we're going to do is take your pick, that's this guy here, or plectrum. Make sure it's nice and sharp and pointy. I'll put a link below where you can get nice sharp pointy picks. And you're going to take this pick and go to string 3, the string that you have this finger on, but all the way over here. And what you're going to do is just try and hit that string, pick down towards the 4 like this. Just try and hit that string, that's your first target. You don't have to do a lot of movement like this. Just push the string over enough. And then, see if you can go to this first string. Don't do anything here, keep this finger there. You don't have to do anything to the first string other than pick it with this pick or plectrum. Now pick back towards yourself like this. So if we put that together, hopefully that starts to sound like the song and starts to sound like music for you. So I'll give you some technique tips for what you're doing over this side, okay? Now the strings run parallel across like this, like a horizon line on the sea. Okay? Try not to let the guitar drop down from this horizon line, okay? Stay nice and upright and relaxed if possible. Get yourself comfortable. I know guitar is not comfortable at first when you've not done this kind of thing. It feels really alien. Just try to get yourself comfortable. Now, when you go to pick these strings with the pick or plectrum, try not to push your pick through the string in a parallel fashion, okay? So the strings are parallel, but we don't want to push through with the string in a parallel way. Tilt it so that you're cutting across the string slightly. What this will do, it means there's slightly less resistance to get through the string. That will help with your picking hand accuracy. If you pick through the string at a slight angle, so the pick straight, then tilt it a bit and cut through the string, just going slightly across it. Now what I recommend you do basically 1,000,000 times now is just practice that bit over and over again. And you can intently stare at this side because all you have to do is leave that finger there. By the way, if it starts to get sore, you can use another finger for now. Just do the same thing. But focus on getting this going, okay? Now there's a few things you can do. You can have the arm just floating in the air like this. Or you can use these lower strings to rest on. So when I'm doing this here, the picking part, it depends what song it is, but I might choose to rest on these lower strings because I'm not using them. It gives your hand somewhere to balance and it helps you locate the strings quite accurately. The only thing is it's a bit more constricted there and you have to start moving your wrist a bit. I would recommend practice them both ways. Practice these parts both ways. But probably the floating hand is going to be the easier thing for you to get going at first. So just practice this now 1,000,000 times. Okay, so the intro of the song is just this wee part we learned. Now think of that constitutes as 1. Count that as 1. So the intro itself is going to be 4 of those times 4. So 16 if you will. So I'll explain what I mean. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the point, I'll keep going. Now the rest of the song kicks in when the verse comes around. So you do 8 of those picking bits that we've already did. You'll notice I'm going with the floating hand there. That tends to work for me in this situation. All you have to do to do the next part, take the second finger off, put the first finger on that same string, but now put it in the first fret. So that's 3rd string, 1st fret. And do 8 of those. Then the next part is just 2 open strings. So you're going to play this 4th string and nothing's happening over here now other than you just want to balance the guitar. So do 8 of these. And then there's one more part. You go back to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and do 8 of these guys. And that's going to take up most of the song, okay? That immediately sounds like music, so if you can try and get those bits going, don't worry about if it's messy and uncoordinated. It doesn't sound very good sometimes. Just do your best with that to see if you can get those parts going, and that will immediately sound like actual music. Now, to play the other parts of the song, we need things called chords. So this is less accurate with this side, but more involved on this side. So the first chord we'll look at here is called A. So what I want you to do over on this side is take your first 3 fingers, okay? Don't use the little guy for here. What you're going to do is make a little shape here in the 2nd fret on certain strings. So first finger goes on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Then put this 2nd finger underneath it. Same fret, but on string 3. 3rd finger goes on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string then. So that shape there is your A chord. Now this thick string isn't involved, and what we're going to do is we're going to strum from this 5th string all the way down to string 1 like this. Now if this is your first time doing it, it probably won't sound like that. It might sound like this. Might sound dull and not very nice to your ears. Don't worry if that's the case. These fingers will get tougher as you keep the practice up on a regular basis. So what I want you to do, this is important, is not think of these individual movements of fingers, but think of shapes. So this guy here, if you can do this in the air, that's an A chord. Just pop it on the relevant strings. And I want you to think of that shape as A. Don't think of this finger there, this finger there, this finger there. As soon as you've looked at the chord diagram and worked out where they're supposed to go, from now on, think of these guys as a team, as a group. When you put your fingers down, try and get them almost at the same time, whatever you can manage. And just bunch them in there as best as you can, okay? Now what you do is strum this 16 times, okay? So I would divide it into 2 lots of 8 like this. That's 1. That's 2. So that's 2 lots of 8. If I put it together, it should sound like this. So, just like the other parts you were practicing before, now would be a good time to practice that over and over. And see if you can count in your head in this even fashion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And just keep doing that. For the purpose of practicing this, you can do it more than 16 times, but keep those counts of 8 going in your head. The next chord is E. So I'll show you how that relates to the chord you were just doing, A. Get rid of the first finger for now, take them off. Then take the 2nd and 3rd finger, keep them as a team, and move them up 2 strings. So now, middle finger goes to the 2nd fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger goes to the 2nd fret of the 4th string, okay, and then first finger is on the 1st fret of the 3rd string now. In this case, we can play all the strings in the chord. And all we're going to do is do our same group of 8 strumming, so 2 lots of 8. The next chord we'll need is D. So keep your E formation there for me, and then peel away the 2nd and 3rd finger. So your first finger's just left where he was. Now to give you some help of how to go from one chord to another, take this first finger, move it across 1 fret. Now it's in place for the next chord we need. Then 2nd finger goes on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, 3rd finger goes on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So this little shape here is a D chord. So associate that formation with a D chord in your head. Now this time we leave out the two thickest strings, but you can put in that fourth string there. And this probably will not sound like that at first, it might sound like this. Don't worry if that's the case. You've just got to do the best you can for now. Like I mentioned with the picking earlier on, get those fingers as far over in the frets where possible. It won't always be possible for now. You might not be able to stretch that third finger across. Where possible, just do what you can. And you would do 2 lots of 8 on that. Then we come back to an A chord, and what I want you to do, take the first and second finger away, move this third finger back a fret, and see if you can then remember how the A was formed before. So what I did there was I held the third finger on the string, but just moved them back and then slipped into that A chord. Do 2 lots of 8 strumming on that. And I'll put all that together for you. Now something you may notice here when I'm going through the strumming parts is that this arm does not stop moving. So there are no gaps between the different chord parts. Okay, there's no 8 A's, then a pause, then 8 A's, then a pause, then next chord pause. So what we're going to have to do is try to teach this arm to not stop strumming. Okay, so remember the phrase, don't stop strumming. So as you're playing your 2 lots of 8 on the A's, try to force it to keep going as that E comes around. And that might not be easy at first. I'd be surprised if it was, in fact. Keep that arm moving. Resist the urge to stop it. Okay, so keep going. Even if this side is a total mess and you're nowhere near the next chord. Okay, force it anyway. Try and keep that arm going. For your guitar playing, rhythm is more important here. Okay, we can fix this side as we go, but the rhythm must keep going. So I'll give you an example. I'll try and make a total mess of it here, but I'll keep this arm going. Now it still sort of sounded like music in the song there, with keeping the rhythm going. So no matter how messy that gets, keep this rhythm going. So the song really just has those picking parts and those strumming parts. There's a little fancy thing I put in one of the verses to just mimic a piano bit in the song. It's called a harmonic. And it makes this nice kind of keyboard sound. So if you want, just for an extra fancy thing in there, you can put this harmonic in. So on the tablature you will see a 5 with little brackets around it and a circle, and the indication here is just to play what's called a natural harmonic. So take any finger you want, go to the 5th fret towards the edge of the fret, But this time you're going to directly put whatever your finger you're using is on top of where the bar would be. But don't push down like this. We don't want to fret the note in that fashion. You're just lightly touching it. The string, that is, with the back of your finger there. And you get that nice little piano sound. Kind of sounds like a piano key. And what happens is before the big last chorus that's a bit louder, you can just play that and let it ring out. So I'll put that into context. I'm going to play the last verse and then the last chorus. And so on. You would play that chorus 4 times at that point. So it's a little bit fiddly, it's just an extra thing you can put in there. You lightly touch the string at that fifth fret there, just to get that little sound. There we go, so all you have to do is try and put those parts together. So if this is your first guitar lesson or one of your first lessons, or you're just trying to improve what you have or learn a new song, hope you find value in that. So give it a like and subscribe and share it with your friends.